Um, um, let's just go into the intro. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Right here on We Just Love Games Network, the best little corner of the internet on a Friday evening. You are listening to episode 165 of Gamestack Podcast, Emotional Support NPCs. I am your co-host Vendertron. Joining us this evening, as always, is the lovely Shalene. Hello, Shalene.
Hello, hello. How are you doing, Vendor?
I'm doing okay. I'm trying to shake a headache today. I've had a headache like all day, but it's probably because I've spent the last 72 hours staring at code in our studio.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Managed to make my figure though. Spent 3 days making a figure. Hashtag PhD life.
Well, I'm glad you got things to work, but that just sounds like a terrible way to spend a week.
It was terrible. It was very frustrating. I could not get it to work. ChatGPT could not get it to work. Carlo couldn't get it to work, and he's a software developer. So it was just terrible. Nothing was working. I bought a pasta attachment for my KitchenAid, and I was all excited to make some semolina pasta fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And the KitchenAid attachment for the pasta extruder is the worst product ever made in the history of North America ever. Like ever.
Wow, that's going
Actually, it
some.
says it says on the pasta extruder that it's made in Italy. So, yeah.
I think they're lying.
Probably terrible, terrible product. I like boxed that thing back up and I shipped it off this morning and I want my money back because it is not worth $170. How are you doing? How was your week?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Um, I've had a difficult few weeks, and that has continued. I don't
Okay.
really want to talk about it, but
Right.
I've had a difficult few weeks, and I'm tired, and I feel burned out, and um, I need some friend time.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here. And I am so glad that I was somehow able to convince you to do a show, even though I didn't actually have to do much convincing. You were like, yeah, we're doing a show. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah. So, yeah, we're here. Let's do a show. The show is sponsored by Oak and Crow Coffee. If you head on over to oakandcrow.com, you can pick up a bag of We Just Love Coffee blend. $2 from every purchase of that blend goes to the Children's Miracle Network. And don't forget to tell your friends about the show. Join us live every Friday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, right here on twitch.tv/We Just Love Games. And if you miss the show, that's okay. You can always navigate to our Twitch page and see the video recording, or you can find it on any alternate podcast platform, YouTube, Google, which will no longer be soon, Apple, Spotify, etc. Um, and if you want to see what's going on in the community while we're not live, you can join our Discord by scrolling right down below in the Twitch page in our About section. There's a direct link into our Discord community. And what's going on in the Discord this week, Shalene?
Well, this week there was some action in the lobby that I noticed because RTZ has asked Archon and I to continue doing restaurant reviews based on how many levels of Plants vs Zombies can we get through before they bring our food.
I forgot about that. That was a restaurant with like screens, right? On the
Yeah,
tables?
we were at the it was a Red Robin and they had the screens at the table. and our food just took forever to get there, and we ended up getting to like level 20 or something of Plants vs Zombies before they finally fed us our burgers.
So
um
Red Robin is like a very special place for Carlo and I because we
really.
we used to love eating there, and then Red Robin's left Canada. Like it's not a thing here.
Oh, that's too
And we
bad.
used to go for clucks and fries all the time. So when we were in California last year, the year before, we actually went to a Red Robin's and it was so awesome. It was so
Nice.
good.
Yeah,
But
we live really close to one here in Albuquerque, but it's the service is just so slow.
mhm.
um
That's pretty standard for Red Robin's, I think.
is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
um so we thought that was pretty funny. I did not expect anybody to call back to that uh little segment that we
Who
did
called
that
that?
day.
RTZ?
RTZ, yeah.
Yeah.
So we may have to actually do it, but I guess it'll have to be like chain restaurants.
Yeah, well you have to download the app, and then you can just play it on your
Yeah,
phone. Yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna have to do that.
That's
Um,
the game Carlo and I play while we're waiting for food is you take a credit card or a debit card and you hit it on the table and it slides across the table and you only have two chances to push it to the other side of the table, but the card's got to be it's got to be sitting just far enough over the edge of the table that you can flip it, and if you
mm,
flip it, you get a point.
okay.
That's our game. That's
And
yeah.
does does the loser have to pay?
um no, but that's probably a
I feel
good
like the fact that you're
yeah.
using a debit card should mean that the loser of the game has to pay.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. I'm gonna try that
Give it
next
some
time.
stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you have if you've got games that you play with your partner while you're out at a restaurant waiting for your food, write into the show at info@wejustlovegames.com and tell us about that. Or you can post it in the Mailstack channel. And we probably have some mail that we're going to go through this evening. We also have some news. We also have some gameplay, a special game science segment for all of you, and a game stock segment as well. And we have a ton of screenshots and stories to get through because, as you know, Halloween was just around the corner. And so there's lots of Halloween spooky screenshots. Also, Shalene and I have a little bit of gameplay. So let's hop right into the show with this just in. Take it away, Shalene.
Well, we did our new games for November on the last episode, but they hadn't yet released. They hadn't yet announced the PlayStation Plus free games for the month, but they have now. So I wanted to cover that. So if you are a PlayStation Plus Essential member, this month you can get Mafia 2 Definitive Edition,
Ooh, that's good.
Dragon Ball, The Breakers, and Aliens Fire Team Elite. And I really, really enjoyed Mafia 2. I thought that was a fantastic game. So highly recommend checking that one out. Um, what are your thoughts here? Did you play Mafia 2? I feel like you have played
I
Mafia 2.
I haven't, but I think I've played Mafia 1. I can't remember. It may have been LA Noir, actually.
Ah, okay.
I may be getting them confused. But they're both
Mafia
great.
2 is basically
So,
a GTA clone.
yeah.
And it's set in a post-war America. You know, you're playing as a soldier who's returning from the war, and who joins the mob. So
Yep.
it was a good time. I remembered really enjoying Mafia 2. So definitely check those out. And um, this is sort of tangential video game news. It's about The Last of Us, but not the video game series. It's about the television show. So, The Last of Us season 2 is expected to enter production in early 2024, according to this Eurogamer article by Victoria Kennedy. Of course, we know that there have been Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA strikes that have affected production of movies and TV. And The Last of Us adaptation was one of the properties that was affected. So this production on this season was delayed, and it's not present on HBO's 2024 slate, but it was part of a sizzle reel for shows that are slated for a 2025 release. So we can expect them to go into production next year, and we'll see the new season in 2025.
Last of Us was so good. You still haven't finished watching it, have you?
No, we watched the first episode, and I was emotionally damaged. And Archie was like, "Yeah, let's watch the next episode." And I was like, "I need time. I need time to recover from this."
Every
And
episode of that show is like you need time to recover. Have you
like once a week, he would be like, "Hey, let's watch another episode." I'm like, "No, I'm still. I need time."
made it to the Ron Swanson episode?
No, we've only watched the first episode.
Oh my God, Shalene.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get on that. Make it your New Year's resolution and start
Yeah,
now.
I've heard it's a wonderful show, and I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's all the feels. It's Grey's Anatomy post-apocalyptic. So,
I've actually never watched Grey's Anatomy.
oh really? Don't
Yeah,
start. Don't start.
isn't there like 85 seasons of Grey's
Yeah.
Anatomy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
don't
good
have time
though.
for that.
It's
Who's got
so
time for that? Nah.
People only watch. I'm convinced people only watch Grey's Anatomy for the soundtrack now.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah,
a
because
great soundtrack.
they always lay over these heartfelt scenes with this really touching like music that just hits home. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyways, check out The Last
Yeah.
of Us. And for those of you listening, if you haven't watched it, it's absolutely one of those TV shows that are made from a video game that are actually good. It's actually like really good. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
excited for the next season. It's too bad it's been delayed, but
I thought it was really interesting seeing the reception for this show. A lot of people who just couldn't care less about video games were talking about what a wonderful show this was. So it was marketable to people who were not invested in the video game. Taz in the chat says that the Ellie actress was in Game of Thrones. He believes that's
yes.
correct.
Yep.
She was little Lyanna Mormont, and the Joel actor was also in Game of Thrones. He was Oberyn Martell.
Yep. Yep.
So,
He's also the Mandalorian.
yes.
Though you wouldn't know it.
I love that he's building a career on
just
like,
helmets. Masks.
Well, I was gonna say like taking care of children, like being grumpy dad as
yeah.
And I really thought it was a missed opportunity that they didn't cast him to replace Henry Cavill as the Witcher, because that could have really continued the theme of grumpy dad.
I love Pedro Pascal. I put him in the same caliber and category as other just really decent human being actors like Tom Hanks,
I agree with that.
And,
yeah, I think Pedro Pascal is a good guy.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Microsoft has begun to block unauthorized Xbox controllers and accessories. This is a Verge article by Tom Warren. And so this is something that people started to notice last week. Some third-party Xbox controllers are giving you a connected accessory is not authorized warning when it's connected to the Xbox console. And it's unclear if Microsoft is trying to target cheat devices or whether the Xbox maker is just trying to push its official partner program. And alongside the warning, there are notes that the accessory will be blocked from further use after 2 weeks. From the moment you connect an unauthorized accessory and receive error code 0x82D600002, you'll have 2 weeks to use the accessory, after which time it will then be blocked from use with the console, says Microsoft in a support note. At that time, you'll receive error code, etc., etc. I'm not going to read that whole error code. We encourage you to contact the store or manufacturer where you obtained the accessory to get help with returning it. And third-party controllers that are part of the Designed for Xbox Hardware Partner Program are unaffected, but any that haven't been officially authorized by Microsoft run the risk of generating this error and being blocked. And this may also include third-party cheat devices like XIM, the Cronus Zen, and Resnow S1 from working on an Xbox console. These adapters are commonly used on PC to spoof controller inputs so that mouse and keyboard users can get the benefits of aim assist and reduced recoil from controller mixed with the benefits of movement from mouse and keyboard. Activision, Bungie, and Ubisoft have all been trying to block these hardware spoofing devices with restrictions and bans in Call of Duty, Destiny 2, and Rainbow Six Siege. Cronus devices in particular have been growing in popularity on console, and Microsoft's block will likely affect some of these unauthorized adapters. And Brook Gaming, which manufactures an adapter that supports PlayStation controllers on Xbox, says that its device is affected by the Microsoft block. In a post on the platform formerly known as Twitter, Brook Gaming warns of functional disruptions in the near future for a variety of its products, including a fighting board, controller adapter, and a steering wheel adapter. And this block could adversely affect the fighting game community. This is essentially a death sentence for local fighting game events that run on Xbox, much less others that can only afford one arcade stick, says Maximilian Dude, the biggest fighting game channel on YouTube. The Brook Gaming converters are not cheat devices. They're a huge boon to the fighting game community. Please reconsider. And most Xbox third-party controllers are wired, as Microsoft has not licensed its Xbox wireless protocol to other vendors. PowerA launched the first officially licensed third-party wireless controller for Xbox consoles earlier this year, and the ban could be related to the company working to expand approval for third-party wireless Xbox controllers. So, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm happy to see that cheat devices like Cronus are getting banned. I mean, it sounds like this will affect. I mean, obviously, it's affecting the adapters specific for fighting games, and I think that that's fighting games. They kind of already have an uphill battle on Xbox for several reasons, but I think that this has the potential to really nerf the population of gamers with Xbox. Like this could be very bad for them. I feel like
Do you
this is
think? I don't feel like this would be a deal breaker for most users.
If some of the players stand to make money from it, or lose money from it, there's potential there. I think I don't know. Like fight sticks are very expensive.
They are. They really
And
are.
those those individuals who attend like in-person tournaments, they're usually limited to like PS5 licensed products, right? Because many of the tournaments opt out of running on specific platforms. But I think it can be cost prohibitive in a way, because people may have to own multiple different devices to be able to use. Converters may solve this problem, but I'm not necessarily sure they'll solve all problems. But I think that there's still, I feel like this is just wasted effort on Microsoft's part, because it's not going to stop people from remote streaming from their PC from like a third party controller, and it doesn't really affect XIM cheating devices, because they actually use official controllers to try to trick the system, do they not? So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's emulators that people use to trick,
There
right?
absolutely are. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely are.
like the only people that are actually really affected in this are the ones who aren't cheating, because the cheaters are just going to cheat their way around the block, right?
Yes.
So,
I had similar thoughts as well.
like, yeah, I don't know. It's stupid.
Sully in the chat brings up a really good point. He says, probably so they can jack up the price of the authorized controllers. That may not be the main reason, but I would bet on a price increase of authorized units.
Well, I mean, how many of you out there are, fanatical Mad Catz owners?
Actually, we do have a listener in chat right now. The lovely Brock says that she misses using Mad Catz controllers and things like that because they were very cheap and cute. And the cheapness is usually the primary reason for using a third party controller. First party controllers can be prohibitively expensive, especially when you are a household with children.
Yeah.
We didn't have a ton of money growing up. And if we got a second controller, it was always going to be the Mad Catz controller. Always, every time, 100% of the time. Um, and
Yeah.
if those hadn't been an option, we probably wouldn't have been able to afford second controllers. And I never would have had all those co op experiences with my idiot brothers growing up.
I
So
mean, if Microsoft wants people to use official controllers, then support people in using official controllers, you know?
I,
Have like, you know, people spend hundreds of dollars on an Xbox controller, but offer like Xbox Care, you
well,
know?
you know,
So if your
vendor,
controller is destroyed, it's just
the next
replaced.
thing that I was going to bring up is that they have made some pretty valuable inroads in terms of allowing people to do some repairs on their own controllers and providing replacement parts and guidance to install those parts and that kind of thing. That's something that we've seen from Microsoft recently, and that is a positive step
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I tell you, if they block my Moses steering wheel,
ooh, there will be blood.
their heads will roll, Shalene. The amount of money that I've spent on this steering wheel, heads will roll.
Yes.
I will launch a lawsuit. It will happen. Let's just strict that from the recording.
You will be at the ground zero of the class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like they're
I don't
gonna,
blame you.
2 weeks from now, you're gonna be saying, you're gonna be talking about an article where, Phil Spencer put out a statement, or so and so put out a statement about the blocking of these devices, and Microsoft says this, and they're gonna do these things, and they're sorry, and
Mhm.
hopefully, I don't know,
Yes.
maybe that
Phil
won't
Spencer
happen.
apologizes to one Canadian in particular.
That is, I expect nothing less. Anyways, wow.
Oh man, you're the best. So turns out this next article that I had put in is basically the same story, so we're going to skip that one. Devolver Digital has acquired System Era for up to $40 million. This is a gamesindustry.biz article by Sophie McAvoy. And System Era, of course, is the developer of Astroneer, which I
Hmm.
believe you've sank a pretty good, significant chunk of time into.
Mm-hmm.
And this deal is worth up to $40 million. As reported by Game Developer, an initial $22 million will be paid by Devolver, made up of $20 million in cash as soon as the deal closes, and $2 million in shares to be issued and paid a year after closing. This is in addition to a $10 million deferred consideration and up to $8 million potential earnout, both payable in cash and shares. European law firm Fieldfisher, which is acting on behalf of Devolver, commented, "The acquisition represents a strategic opportunity for Devolver to extend its reach beyond its core strength of premium indie titles, leveraging System Era's knowledge of expandable game style development, as well as live operations technology and existing IP." System Era confirmed the acquisition in a blog post, saying, "This partnership, working in-house with Devolver, lets us focus on what we love the way we love to do it. We don't shed independence lightly. But with Devolver, we don't think System Era is losing independence. We think it's finding a new home among a like-minded confederation of talented people." And I think they may be right about that. I feel like Devolver is probably among the less evil of publishers in the video game sphere. So as somebody who's played and enjoyed Astroneer, well, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I don't really care. Astroneer is already done, and it's great, and there isn't much that I would change about it. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I don't really have an opinion on this. I think as long as, because sometimes we see with these acquisitions that companies will take on a development studio and then it's just mass layoffs, right?
That is absolutely something we've seen, especially lately.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really foresee that happening for System Era with Devolver. I feel like, if anything, this just gives System Era a little more stability to take the time and work on their next project.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm hopeful
Yeah.
that that's the case.
Honestly, I think like Astroneer is a fantastically developed game. Like they spent a lot of time and a lot of attention to detail, and it's such a simple game that brings so much joy, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so chill and calming. So, uh, I mean, I'm not worried because there's nothing else that can go into Astroneer. Um, like it's not like it's not like it's still in alpha or something like that, right? The
Mm-hmm.
game is what it is. So if
Right.
it was another story, if it was like, Bethesda got bought out by something else and Starfield was on the line and they only just started,
Mm-hmm.
there's still so much for Starfield to happen in Starfield in terms of patches and updates. But yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I think it will likely be a positive thing for System Era, and I think it will certainly be a positive thing for Devolver. They've proven that they can put out a great game. They know what they're doing, and I think their next title is likely to be a more polished experience. And I think it's a good thing that they're going to have Devolver money behind it.
Yeah,
So
agree.
yeah. So this next article made me laugh when I saw it. This headline, this is a video games chronicle article by I've missed the byline. Where's the Jordan Midler by Jordan Midler. The headline reads, Sega exec says he wants to see Sonic surpassing Mario one day. um I think it's really funny that the illustration that this website used is Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, because I feel like that's the only way in which Sonic is ever going to pass Mario.
Sonic Olympics is pretty damn good. The curling in particular is a favorite pastime of mine.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny. So this quote was from Sega executive Osamu Ohashi, and he joined Sega in 1993. He is now the division manager of Sega's second division, which is in charge of the Sonic series. And he said that while Sega respects Mario, he would love to overtake Mario's mascot one day. And simply put, we want to surpass Mario, Ohashi said. Sonic is a game that was originally developed to compete with Mario, and it still hasn't achieved that goal. Because we respect Mario, our goal is to catch up and surpass him. I love that this is still Sega's goal, like all these years later, because I feel like it was
The
this was the
80s.
big rivalry of my very early childhood
Mm-hmm.
was Sega versus Nintendo, and this is still a concern for Sega. I find that fascinating, absolutely fascinating. um, Ohashi explains, I want Sonic to be played by people all over the world, including Japan, just like Mario. I want the movie to be a bigger hit than Mario. I would like Universal Studios Japan to create a Sonic area as well. That's our goal for those who love Sonic. And this is just it's adorable, you guys. I find this adorable. I find it absolutely adorable because it's just such a pie in the sky thing to say. Joseph had a bit of commentary, as of course. I think we forgot to say thank you to Joseph Tao for putting together our news week to week. Joseph's commentary on this one says that is extremely ambitious to say the least. And Joseph, I think that's kind of a deadpan way to respond to this. I literally laughed out loud when I read this article when I was reading through the news email earlier today, deciding what was gonna be featured on the show. I just thought that's adorable. What an
Well,
adorable dream.
it's like, if anything, the article reinforces that Sonic is Mario's little brother, right? It's just it's the two will always be in rivals. Mario will always be number one to the public. It
Yeah.
will always be. And if Genesis wants to become more of a competitor against Mario and Nintendo, they need to come out with some consoles and hardware that support their games and get people playing their games on their hardware, I think. But I don't think that'll never happen. Sonic does have a
Absolutely
special
not.
place in my
Yeah.
heart. Like those side-scrolling Sonic 1 and 2 are just like, I know all the secrets, I know all the parts of the levels, and like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To me personally, Sonic and Mario are neck and neck. like the
Really?
old games. Yeah, yeah. Because
Wow,
I
that
actually,
surprises
well,
me.
I grew up with a Sega
Were
Genesis.
you a Sega kid?
I didn't grow up with a Nintendo
Hmm.
until Nintendo 64, and that's
Right.
when Mario took over.
And everything changed.
Yeah, it's been Mario since.
Hmm.
So, but
Now,
it's nice. Actually, I just thought about something. I've been playing through the Sonic games on my Nintendo Switch
that is hilarious.
because
Oh, that is so funny.
you can access the Genesis games through the eShop if you have the
Hmm.
family membership. So, which is kind of weird. Why are those there?
Well, I mean,
Why not?
Sega doesn't have hardware anymore, so
Yeah.
where else are they going to put Sonic?
Yeah.
And besides, they want those inroads. They want Sonic inside the Switch. They've probably trained him as a sleeper agent.
Take
And
over
there's a
from
certain
within.
you put in like the Konami code or something, and Sonic goes into assassin mode and just deletes all your Mario saves.
Yeah, when you play Mario, it's actually Sonic wearing a Mario suit. You just don't
Mm-hmm.
know it. Yeah.
Exactly. Brilliant. Okay, so this next article, I debated whether or not I wanted to talk about this at all. But we're
Give
going
it
to
to me.
cover this briefly.
Okay.
I don't want to read through the whole article. This is a gamesindustry.biz feature article by Christopher Dring. And I recommend looking this up and just reading through it. The headline here is "What the hell is going on with video games?" And basically, what this article is discussing is the fact that video games are having record breaking sales numbers, just huge, huge success for the video games industry. But at the same time, we are seeing massive, massive layoffs in the industry. Just we see company after company laying off hundreds of employees at a time in the same year that they're reporting record profits, and it's kind of wild. And I mean, recently we saw Sony laid off a bunch of Bungie employees, like hundreds of Bungie employees were without a job last week. And it's a pattern. It is a pattern we are seeing. The instability, the games industry, being a game developer has always been an unstable career choice. But I
Precarious at
feel
nature,
like
yeah.
that's only gotten worse and worse. And I don't understand how anyone expects to keep talent if they're going to treat them this way. And I don't want to go through the whole article because it is a lot. It's a lot to tackle, and it's pretty heavy. But I just wanted to open the discussion with you. Why do you think this is happening, Thunder?
Um, well, there's two things that come to mind first, and I would say video game sales have grown exponentially as the result of the aftermath and the course of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We've seen video game sales and hardware sales skyrocket during the pandemic. And I think that that has been sustained because more and more people are working remotely. They're making more time for themselves, which means playing video games. Um, I think that there's parts of the world where COVID-19 is still a very real threat.
Absolutely.
So people are spending more time at home. They are spending less time in social settings, and filling that time at home playing video games and buying new video games. The other factor that I think has a big implication here that is sort of happening quietly in the background that we may not realize all the time is disruptive technologies. I think video game development has become somewhat standardized in
Mm-hmm.
studios to the extent that they do not require large development teams to make these games. And artificial intelligence certainly has played a role in that, I think, for sure. But also, I think a lot of these development studios have built a substantial knowledge base and like base files, like a vault of base
Mm-hmm.
files that they use for development. Um, that they can just reuse to make new content. and they hire a developer. The developer creates the base content of these games, the scaffold, and then they fire the developer, but the company owns the property of
Right.
these programs and algorithms that these people create. They don't take that with them. So a lot of talent and knowledge is retained within the companies, and then they just hire somebody who's cheaper who can come in and use the existing infrastructure to create new product that will make more money.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think there's lots of factors, and I think a lot of it is unfair. I think that video game developers need to take a hard look at the human resource side and the corporate social responsibility side of the video game industry. I think one thing that may solve this problem would be unionization
Yes.
within the industry itself, but also, you know, I hate to say it, but acquisition of smaller studios into larger corporations like Microsoft can be a good thing for a lot of these studios.
And it can. But on the same token, our lovely friend Jessica Starr mentions, well, that is a huge component, staffing up, expecting certain things to last, and making poor investments when it wasn't sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
We see these companies buying up all of these smaller entities, and then they lay them off.
Yeah, that's exactly
They close
because they
studios. They
can,
they buy studios and then they
right?
shutter them because they don't have the money to support them
Yeah,
during development. So while yes, it can be a good thing, I think it's also a major factor in why we're seeing these layoffs, these
yeah.
acquisitions by bigger
And the
entities.
other thing is the corporate structure in the video game industry is bloated at the top. Very,
Absolutely.
very
Mm-hmm.
bloated. There are way too many executives pulling in massive salaries and they don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's all of the developers on the ground level that are working their butts off to try to meet these deadlines. And it's the executives that are cracking the whip, but they're pulling in the salaries. And
Yes.
and they're not the ones being laid
And
off or
they're the
taking a
ones
pay
who
cut,
do have job security.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
we've seen this before. Like, that's what capitalism is basically. So, but like I don't know. We've
I do
talked about this
have,
at length before, but
we have. I do have another theory, and this is maybe a little bit more off the wall. This is, I'm going to preface this by saying I don't have any kind of research supporting this. Like, this is just, it's born from my own little brain. I feel like part of the reason that we're seeing these layoffs is that there are too many video games right now. Now, stay with me. Yes, we are having record breaking game sales numbers, but there are so many games that these sales are spread so far out that we are not supporting every development team. And I think a lot of games are not financially successful. And I think that the weight of those games is too great for the buoyancy of the games that are successful. I think we have too many video games right now that are being made, and it's impossible for all of them to be successful. And I think that bloat is absolutely bringing down the industry. And I think that is a lot of the reason why we're seeing these layoffs. I think that we just can't support that many people.
yeah, I honestly don't know what's going to happen or where things are going to go. Part of me wonders if cloud gaming is going to start to play a larger role in this. Um, other parts of me wonder if online gaming is going to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And
Very interesting.
I find it ironic that, studios will spend millions and millions of dollars developing these very extravagant, Starfield and whatever. And the number one trending game on Steam is like Fall Guys
Mm-hmm.
or Snip Clippers or some stupid, extremely obscenely simple game that probably costs like a couple $100,000 to make is
Mm-hmm.
like trending.
That happens so
It
often.
happens so often. And, it kind of makes me wonder, what role does marketing really have to play in the success in the video game industry? I mean, how many trailers do we see that are crazy cinematic trailers to hype games up, and they just totally miss the boat every time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people are so disappointed. Are we seeing sort of a reflection of disappointment across the industry from consumers? You know, are we
Maybe.
starting to see people getting butthurt about being burned on video games and just not buying them anymore? Because maybe that's what's happening
Mm-hmm.
partially. I mean, the sales would say otherwise, but we know, and we're all guilty of it. We know people will buy games and not play them.
What?
It's why we have a
Are
whole
you
show
saying
called
there is a
Gamestack.
stack of games that we haven't played?
Right? Right?
I would never. I would never.
Some of us play these games for 5 minutes and then we never go back to
What?
them.
You're saying some of us begin games and don't finish them?
Some of us play these games just for the character creator.
Oh my gosh. Almost like some of us in this very podcast studio maybe
Yeah.
haven't finished a game in a very long time.
Yeah. Because some of us are just playing the same old simulator game that's been out for 10 years.
Oh, I mean, we would never.
The
We would
chat's
never.
the
Can't
chat is
relate.
the chat is like they're like I feel so attacked right now.
Oh, gracious, gracious. Sully says, hush your mouth.
That
Oh,
gives me an
man.
idea for a challenge for tonight's show.
Oh, really? It's been forever since we've done a Game Stack challenge.
Let's announce the challenge right now because it's fresh in my mind and I don't want to
Okay.
write it down.
What are we
We're
doing?
we're going to do a challenge. It's a Gamestack challenge. Submit your screenshots or your stories in the Mailstack channel or the screenshots and stories channel. Go back to your stack and revive an old game that you haven't finished.
That's a great Game Stack
And take a
challenge.
shot of it. Take a shot of it and tell us where you left off.
Mm-hmm.
If you can remember where you left off.
Yes. It's the meme of Gandalf. I have no memory of this place.
Yes. So yeah, next week game challenge. That'll be it. Is that the news, Shalene?
That's it.
Well, I have a game science segment. It's my favorite. So, a new study, a group of Spanish researchers have developed a brain computer interface based on electroencephalographs that allowed a group of 22 participants to play a simple multiplayer game. The interface was 94% accurate in translating players' thoughts into game moves, with each move taking just over 5 seconds. The study was published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience. Now, this brain-computer interface is a technology that enables direct communication between the human brain and external devices. This is not a new thing. We've seen this before. I mean, Stephen Hawking is a perfect example of that. And prosthetic limbs and things like that. But this interface works by detecting and interpreting neural signals, typically through the electrodes placed on the user's head, and then they're translated into actionable commands, allowing individuals to control specific devices. Obviously, there's significant potential here in the field of medicine, helping people who are paralyzed regain environmental control and things like that. Other promising approaches are developing performing brain computer interfaces to use like visual evoked potentials and things like that. But the study author Celine Marino Calderon and her colleagues wanted to design and develop and evaluate a multiplayer video game that would be using CVEPs. I don't know what that stands for. CVEPs. Code modulated visual evoked potentials.
Okay.
And a game that players would be able to play and play effectively solely using their thoughts. Can you imagine?
This is fascinating. This is getting us close to like just jacking into the Matrix.
If you're interested in what the game is, they crafted a rendition of the Connect 4 game, and it is a 2-player strategy contest where participants alternate dropping colored discs into a vertical grid, aiming to be the first to align 4 discs either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally. Now I'm having flashbacks to that episode of Star Trek Next Generation where they wear
Yes, the
that
one with
the
the
eyes
Wesley Crusher, and they're
and
like,
they get
play the
so
game,
addicted.
Wesley. Mm-hmm.
The study involved 22 healthy participants who undertook 3 different game variants in one session. They had an average age of 28 years, with 10 identifying as female, and 6 had prior experience with brain computer interface systems. Um, the computer interface used to translate these signals of players into game moves used electroencephalographic signals as the input, and they placed 8 different electrodes on the head of each participant at different points, and they used Bluetooth to connect the EEG system to the computer running the game. The results showed that the accuracy of converting participant intentions into game actions ranged from about 91 to 95%, which is quite good, and an overall average of 94% across all tasks. The system itself executed about 11 moves per minute, translating slightly more than 5 seconds per action. And participants overall expressed satisfaction with the game, praising its intuitiveness and ease of use. The study authors noted, and I quote, "This study focused on designing, developing, and evaluating a version of the popular multiplayer game Connect 4 with the brain computer interface system based on CVEP. The application was evaluated on 22 users and it shows really promising results. And they suggest that the use of this is appropriate for developing a multiplayer competitive video game." The study does make some pretty important contributions. I'm curious what your thoughts are, Shalene. If you're interested in reading the paper, as I said, it is called Combining Brain-Computer Interfaces in Multiplayer Video Games, an application based on CVEPs, and that was previously published in Frontiers in Human Neuroscience. What do you think about this, Shalene?
Gosh, it's exciting, but also terrifying. I mean, this is one of those instances in which it feels like science fiction is becoming a reality, and it's I've got mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, it sounds great. I want to try that. On the other hand, am I going to end up a little blob in a floaty chair like on Wall-E,
Yeah.
like I
I mean, we spend so much time in the show contesting video game addiction.
yes.
And this article just comes in and just knocks it down like a house of cards, like
And sometimes, I mean, I play a video game and I really enjoy it, and I'm like inject it directly into my veins. But now that that's getting closer to being a reality, I'm not sure I want that.
yeah, that euphemism is growing old.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, if you think that this is crazy and you want to add your 2 cents, post it in the Mailstack channel and we'll talk about it again. Let's move on to some stocks. As always, these prices are in comparison to last week's episode. Sony closed out at $87.42, up $7.38. Microsoft closed at $352.80, up $22.99, as we sort of anticipated this would happen since the recent Activision acquisition. Nintendo closed out at $10.80, up 73 cents. Take-Two at $138.91, up $4.48. Activision down $4.97 at $89.45. Ubisoft up $22.70 at $28.37. What's going
That
on there?
seems a little wild.
EA up $6.96 at $129.59, and Tencent closing out at $39.16. Up $2.27. So that is GameStop. We unfortunately don't have any mail this week. We don't have any mail. Is that correct, Shalene? No mail?
That is correct. There is no mail this week, but if you would like to send your questions or commentary in, you can send that to info@WeJustLoveGames, info@WeJustLoveGames, or you can drop it in the Mailstack channel in our Discord. And I love reading your emails. I love answering your questions and chatting about your topics. So please do it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. And now for everybody's favorite part of the show, screenshots and stories. So we have a ton of screenshots and stories to get through this week
I'm so
because,
excited.
as you know, Halloween was this week, and everybody is posting their Halloween screenshots. So I did post a few. This one here is mine. This is Jess and Hobbit and I in Deep Rock Galactic. We are in our Halloween outfits. As you can see, we all have the one of the Halloween hats, which is a pickaxe, and it's
Mm-hmm.
jabbed into the head, and there's little spats of blood coming out of the.
Brilliant.
It's so good. It's funny because when you walk around, it wobbles like it's rubber.
Does it? Oh, that's great.
But the lobby in DRG is so good. It's all decked out in Halloween. As you can see, there's little bats flying around and pumpkins and lights and
So I
ghosts
want to
with
know which
sheets
one of you
hanging.
is guilty of already carrying a Christmas pack.
That would be Jess. Yeah.
How dare you, Jess? How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah, she's worn that a few times now. She actually wore it with the Halloween mask and it actually turned out to be a really good costume. So, yeah. This is me in Animal Crossing in my little costume.
Oh, you're so cute.
Yeah. And
Tell the people what you're wearing.
just a fair warning for our audio listeners, we have quite a few Animal Crossing photos to get through, so yeah, bear with us. This is a bones costume. It's just black and then it's got the bones. And then I have a little hat that's like a skull and it's showing my face. And then I'm holding my pumpkin
Yeah.
candy
I see
bucket.
you've already got some candy in the bucket there.
Yes, I do. I started early. As you can see, it's still bright out, right? So and then this shot, this is 4 Mile in her.
So cute.
So explain to the listeners what we did.
So we got together, the four of us, Vendor and 4 Mile and Jess and myself, and went trick-or-treating. And we just went from island to island and we changed our outfits at every island and trick-or-treated amongst all of our different villagers and had a grand time. It was so much fun.
Yeah. So this shot is of 4 Mile in her first outfit, and it's very colorful. She's got a multicolored balloon hat on. She has face paint of a bat and a pumpkin on her face. It's very cute. She's standing underneath the Halloween arch. This next shot is on my island, and it's the four of us, and we're in our first set of Halloween costumes. And Jess is a wizard. I'm a pirate. 4 Mile is in her costume we just described, and then Shalene is in the Day of the Dead.
Yeah, I'm a little witch with a Day of the Dead, like a sugar skull mask.
Yeah, it's very good. And we're standing in front of a pumpkin carriage. And this one is 4 Mile's next Halloween costume. She was a grape lady, I guess. The Queen of Grapes. I don't know.
Yes, I like to think that she's the grapes from the those old Fruit of the Loom commercials.
Yeah, like the sock puppet things. Yeah.
Remember they had like a guy dressed as grapes?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. And she's got a grape hat and the face paint and the sunglasses. It's all good.
So
it's
cute.
So cute.
So cute.
And here's a picture of us in the resident services on her island. Jess is a leprechaun. She's got the scariest green, wrinkly face. And I'm Billy from Hocus Pocus. And Shalene is a purple cat.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have some of her villagers there, and they were all doing like the Halloween emotes. It was so cute. It was just adorable. And then this one is on Shalene's island.
Yes.
And this is by the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And Jess is the one in the jack-o'-lantern outfit with the pumpkin head. She's got a lead pipe that is a wand, and she's waving it in the air.
I am so surprised that they have a lead pipe as a thing you can carry around in this game.
Good, so good. And Shalene is a witch, I think. Pilgrim?
Yeah, kind of an old hag type of a witch,
hag.
you know.
And she's got the wrinkly face, but it's blue, and she's got her pumpkin wand. It's so cute. And 4 Mile is like a queen princess
Mm-hmm.
of sorts, a dead princess. She's got like scars on her face. And then I am Cleopatra. I am dressed in the pharaoh's outfit with the
You look
the the
amazing.
coin headdress thing. And then we ventured over to Shalene's place. Oh no, we went over to Lucky's place because
Yes, it was
um
so funny. So, for those of you who are not Animal Crossing players, Lucky is a dog who is also a mummy. He's like a mummified dog. He is made of wrapped bandages. He has one little spooky yellow eye that gleams out of his bandages. But he is also on in this photo wearing a mummy outfit over his actual mummy
it's pretty good.
self. It's
It's pretty good.
hilarious.
Yeah. And so he dressed as a mummy. He is a mummy. It was so good. And his house is very spooky too. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
graveyard. And he has some torches and like a skeleton. It's all very very Halloween-esque. And then we went over to Shalene's place to check out her spooky room. And this shot is just so good because we all have different expressions on our face. Um, yeah, and the spooky room is so good.
I
Even the
had so much fun
wallpaper
putting
was
that
so
together.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've already taken it all down. I'm starting to redecorate for fall,
Christmas.
for
Oh,
autumn.
ah, and then we topped things off in
Yes.
the
We had a
seance
little
room.
seance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're in this room in Shalene's house, and she's got like a
There's
pentagram on
like a
the
magic
floor.
circle drawn in chalk.
Yeah, and there's candles and a crystal ball and a cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very wonderful. And
Very
this is my
witchy.
favorite. And we're in the dark and we're all holding our wands up.
So cute.
Divination. Yeah.
It was a fun time.
Then we've got this shot from
This looks like
Is
Starfield.
this RTZ?
I have no idea.
This is Daddio. Daddio says, "Here is me on a planet, Tau Keti, or Seti, Tau Seti, and
Mm-hmm.
Andrea and my Kepler R ship. Cool planet in the background to set it all off." And so he's got a picture of his character and his companion standing on the planet. His ship has landed, and in the background, this giant planet with a set of rings around it. It looks really
Very
good.
cool.
Mm-hmm. We've got this submission in from Jess. This is on her Animal Crossing island, and she says it's fireworks season. And in the background, in the sky, there's some fireworks, but there's also a firework that is the Gamestack logo.
I am so impressed with that.
It looks
I love
really
it so
good.
much.
It looks really good, yeah. And we have this one from Taz, and this is a callback. He says, "As the anniversary of Fallout 4 approaches, I thought this would be a salute to our old friend Rick McVick." And it is a picture of a billboard in Fallout 4, and it says, "Starlight Drive-In Lounge presents Rick McVick, Helios 1 Blues."
We need to tell him that the people are doing this, that the
Yeah,
people demand Rick.
we'll
So,
we'll just send the picture,
mhm.
or we'll at him.
Yes,
Yeah.
he must
Um,
know. We need to guilt him into coming back on the show.
And Taz also posted this one looking back at a more
Wow.
ambitious building project at Kingston Lighthouse. And he's got this massive
What a
defying
build.
physics uh, penthouse at the top of the lighthouse. Very good. Very good.
I love that.
And this one is from Taz. It is the straw processing store. It is literally the hat store in Farm
It's a
Sim.
hat shop.
It is. Oh, I gotta go back here. Sorry. It is a hat shop in Farm Sim. He says now Shalene has her own straw hat store at the WJLG Ranch and
I
Vineyard.
love this. Thank you for doing this.
It's so good. I love
This
it.
delights me.
Yeah. And this is a really great shot from Suliore.
Hmm.
It's the St. Louis Arch in Starfield.
I'm pretty sure this is actually a Halo ring, though.
It is so good. He's got a Milky Way in the background, and it's
It
just
looks
the
really
angle
cool.
of the arch is so good. It looks really good. Excellent shot. And this one from Fallout 76, presumably from
Mm-hmm.
Suliori as well, says kind of looks like one, yeah. Here's the front yard of my Halloween camp in 76. And this is the best Halloween yard in a video game I've ever seen.
He did a great job. It's very spooky.
It's so
He's
good. Explain
I
this to
love
the
the
people.
skeleton in the cage hanging from the tree, and he's wearing this horribly bloody outfit, and yeah, he's just got a spooky little house build with a lot of autumn leaves on it, some Mothman effigies, and
I like the
lots of
condemned sign
bones. Hmm.
on the
It's
door.
great.
It's so
It's
good.
really good.
And what is
Very
that? What
spooky.
is that creepy girl in a dress in the green tank inside the house? What's that all about?
Okay, there's this whole series of stuff in tanks that you can get. I think that may actually be an alien in the tank.
I don't know.
Not entirely sure.
It looks
I
spooky.
can't tell, but there is a whole series of different creatures in tanks that you can get.
Goodness. They also posted this one, which is just as good, and they said this was at a friend of mine's camp, and he's standing there, or his friend is standing there, and it's a graveyard, but
Hmm.
it's not a well kept graveyard.
Yeah, you can build at this graveyard, and I have a house here too. It's pretty great.
Yeah, the graveyard's cool. There's like
Yeah, this is the graveyard that's right above Hopewell Cave.
there's like an exhumed grave, and there's blood everywhere, and
Hmm.
there's like bones in a wheelbarrow.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's really good. Great location to build.
Then we had
Ooh, shelter.
some of these last minute screenshots trickling in as we were live this evening, so I was able to slip them in. But this is from Sullivan7 Racing. It says, started my first survival mode vault in Fallout Shelter. Began with a guy and 2 women, then up to 7 women and 1 man. Next thing, I know I've got a line of 4 guys outside the door. Did I just start an underground brothel?
Oh no, that's terrible. Yeah,
Ah,
I've Archin's been playing a ton of Fallout Shelter on his PC. So I've been hearing the Fallout Shelter sounds like when it's not on, like I
yeah.
can still hear them.
That's good. Yeah. Then we have this shot from Moxie86. They said, found a cute little game called Castle Full of Cats. That sounds so good.
Wonderful.
It's cute but short, so grab it on sale if you can. And this screenshot says, what a terrible night to have a curse. A castle full of abandoned cats has been cursed by an evil human being. All feline creatures in said castle had been transformed into nightmare creatures, haunting and being haunted by this evil force. You play as Lily, a fierce and fearless calico cat who is from a lineage of supernatural hunters and is here to release all the cats from this inhumane curse,
That
including her
sounds pretty cute.
beloved Fofino, who is locked
Oh,
in this tower. May the catnip be with you. And
sounds very
then they
cute.
posted this shot of the castle, and there's just like cats everywhere. There's a cat in a cannon. There's cats on pedestals. Like there's a cat.
Hmm.
Is that a cat in like a coffin? I
I
think.
think so, yes.
So good. Anyways, that is our screenshots and stories. Be sure to submit those to the screenshot and story channel for next week's show. And don't forget about our challenge. Hopefully, we'll see some old video games cropping up from the stack. Yeah.
I love it.
Let's hop into what we're playing. So, as you know, Shalene, I like to play a little bit of ATS, and it started snowing here in Canada. The snow is all gone now, so it's going to be like dead grass and trees until like Christmas. But I just wanted to get into the snowy spirit, so I reactivated my snow mod in ATS, and the snow mod I forgot is like so interesting. In a way, it's actually really good because it prepares me for winter driving. The way that the guy has made it, It still snows in Nevada and California and New Mexico and
Mhm.
Texas.
Well, we do get snow in New Mexico.
I know, but it's like full winter blanket among palm trees, and
That is funny.
it just doesn't fit, right? So I usually stay to the northern states, Montana, Colorado, Denver, all that. So, um, yeah. Anyways, so that was ATS. I did play some Animal Crossing this week, Halloween, as you already know, so I won't go over to those details too much. But I will say that I did have a lot of fun running to different villagers' houses and getting them to give me candy. I love that they don't give you candy if you are not in a costume, but
Hmm.
it's funny what they define as a costume because like I went in like I think it was like a captain's outfit for like a pilot, like an
Right.
airline pilot. And like in the normal world, that would be a great costume, right? But Plucky was not having that. That was
Not
not,
good enough for her.
yeah. I see people in the chat are saying, did the stream cut out? I'm still
It's
getting it.
still running fine.
It's
Yeah.
still running. Yeah, I saw it blip out there for a second. So, um,
Refresh.
yeah, just refresh your browser. I did also enjoy Jack. Jack was there, and I kept bringing him lollipops, and I love that all of my villagers were in their little costumes, and they had all of the Halloween items that I've been giving them over the last like 3 months.
Right.
Like I've been accumulating witch hats and just giving them to people because I want them to wear them on Halloween. It was really nice to see them all wearing those items. So there must be something in the algorithm for the game that identifies it as a Halloween specific item. So then
Hmm.
they choose that when the holiday comes. But
That is so
yeah,
cute.
and yeah, it was really cute. I enjoyed it. That was a good event. I'm looking forward to seeing what Christmas is all about. Christmas, as you know, is one of my favorite times of the year, and
Hmm.
I always get in the spirit. So it's nice to play games that have these kinds of events and things. I used to
I
love.
really like the Thanksgiving event. There's a great Thanksgiving event.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I really love decorating for Christmas in video games. Like Ark was so much fun to
Hmm.
decorate for Christmas. We were putting lights out and wrapping gifts and giving gifts to each other, and it was just so cute. So yeah, and then Hobbit and I played a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic. Jess and I also played a little bit this week as well. We were trying to get the Halloween stuff done because you get cosmetics. So Hobbit had a couple of things that she had to do, so I was helping her yesterday finish up some of the Halloween stuff, but we were Jessless. And
Hmm.
it was really hard, just the two of us doing some of those missions. We did a cave that was called a haunted cave, and there was like a monster in the cave, but it was like invisible, but you could kind of make out its silhouette, and it just like trolled you through the whole mission. It would just follow you around, and it would like cause a little bit of damage, but not enough to knock you out. And like we were trying to do these dreadnought fights where we had to kill these big monsters, and this other thing kept trolling us. It was just crazy. And then we did this other mission where I'm like in this tunnel, right? And I'm doing my own thing. I'm picking away at gold because I'm the guy on our team that's like the only one that collects gold. People get annoyed
Okay.
because I'm always back there picking all the gold, and they're like moved on to the next thing. I hear all this blasting off in the distance. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? So I go and I run to where Hobbit is, and she's in this massive room. It is literally the room of death. Everything that wanted to kill us was in this room. There was a rival presence. A rival presence is a giant robot, hostile robot that you have to kill. It's rare to come across them, but they are hard to fight. But on top of the rival presence, we had these things called Corlock sprouts, which are these dragony sprouty things that come out of the ground, and they shoot this green acid at you, and you have to kill them. And then we had turrets, robot turrets all over the place shooting at us. And then we also had a what do they call them? Um, like a surge of monsters coming that we had to fight. And then there was like it was just chaos. Everything was there. It was killing. It was just wild. Anyways, so it was a lot of fun. Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it was totally what I needed after the whole pasta attachment fiasco yesterday. So, but anyways, how was your gameplay for this week?
I don't have a ton of gameplay this week. Like I said, I've had tremendous stress. I haven't had a lot of time, and I don't want anybody to worry about me. Like everybody's health is fine. Everybody's okay. I've just had a really stressful time lately. I've when I have had a few minutes of free time, I've spent most of it reading. But I did play a little bit of Animal Crossing. Of course, we already talked about our Halloween shenanigans, and that is genuinely the most fun I've had for Halloween in years. Um, and I didn't have to dress up. I didn't have to go out. I just stayed in and hung out with some of my best friends. And last night, I realized that it is November now. It is the month of November,
Yeah.
and that means the blowfish is available to catch in the ocean. And that is the final fish that I needed to complete my Critterpedia and my museum. So I went out fishing. This one only comes out between 9 p.m. and 4 a.m. So I waited till 9, and I was just sitting there by the ocean holding my fishing pole at 8:59, waiting for it to turn. Started fishing, and I fished and fished and fished, and I caught him. I caught him, Vendor. I got the blowfish. I have
Oh,
completed.
wait, wait,
I've
wait.
oh,
Well done.
thank you.
Well done,
Thank
Shalane.
you. Thank
Yes.
you. Yes. Thank you.
Lots of work. Significant.
Yes, I have completed the Critterpedia. I've caught every creature in the game. I have completed the museum. It is very exciting. I do owe a huge debt of gratitude to Jess for the completion of my museum, though, because I would still be like fighting with Red for original paintings if not
Oh
for her.
gosh. Yeah.
Ugh, it's a disaster. But last night I was feeling really bad, because I've just had a hard time, and I hadn't caught my fish yet. I was still, getting settled in, and Flurry comes running up to me, right? Flurry is this little hamster. She's like a little
I
snowball
love
of a
her.
creature. She's
She
so
she's the
cute.
Apple equivalent of like
Yes, I
yes.
think she must be related to
She's the
Apple.
apple of your island.
Lind.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yes, and I just adore Flurry. I love her so much, and she came running up to me, and I felt an immediate little burst of serotonin, like, oh, there's Flurry. And she says, hey, so I've been thinking about expanding my horizons and moving to another island and making new friends.
Nope.
And I was like, absolutely freaking not, Flurry.
Nope. Hard pass.
Absolutely not. And I was so mad. I was filled with rage at this tiny little creature that does not actually exist. I was so mad. And I was like, Flurry, I am the only friend you will ever need. You are not
Love
going
me.
anywhere.
You have to love me.
Yes. Now here, accept this sweater that I've been packing around to give you.
Yeah. And then she gives
Love
you
me,
like
darn it.
she gives you a wrestling outfit in return.
So I was devastated that it was, and they ask to leave sometimes, but the timing of my own like
Bad.
fragile mood,
Yeah.
and then Flurry asking to leave the island, I freaked out. I freaked out. And that is why this episode is called Emotional Support NPCs.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like I need Flurry in my life. I can't with this right now. How dare you, Flurry? How dare you betray me like this?
Oh
So
goodness.
yeah, that's pretty much all of my gaming for the week.
Wow. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Hopefully, I can do the challenge this coming week. I think I'm gonna see what old games I can trudge up and hop back into and post a screenshot of. I think I already have some in mind, but yeah. So that's a show. If you like our show, please join us next week on Friday. Once again, we will be back. And keep your ears peeled for the beginning of December. I believe we have a new episode of Gamestack coming to the network, which
Mm-hmm.
will be exciting. So we are looking forward to that. Don't forget the show is sponsored by Oak and Crow Coffee. If you head on over to oakandcrow.com, you can pick up a bag of We Just Love Coffee blend, and $2 from every purchase of that blend goes to the Children's Miracle Network. You can send us some mail by posting in the Mailstack channel, or if you want to send it by snail mail, you can email us at info@wejustlovegames.com. We are also on what is formerly known as Twitter, at We Just Love Games, Shalene at Shalene L, myself at Vendertron N. You can also join us on Discord, our chat after dark. The link is available in our About page on twitch.tv/We Just Love Games, where we record the show live every Friday at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're also on YouTube, iTunes, iHeart, Apple, and Spotify. Please like, subscribe, and review the show, and we will shout you out. Thank you all for listening once again. And Shalene, I will leave the last word up to you.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Good night, all.